In this video we're looking at another pair of Tri-ang Scalextric MM C54 Lotus 16 Grand Prix cars. Now these cars I rescued. I bought a job lot of busted cars and I was actually hoping to remove the paint and restore them, but I didn't notice at the time that this car had some holes in the top body shell because of the quality of the pictures on eBay. It also has a hole in the underpan, but I did want them still because they're made in Australia, C54s, and being made in Australia and marked only made in Australia, not made in Australia and NZ, which is what all C54 body shells would be marked with after this very short period of time in 1960. These are still worth hanging on to, and I've done just a little bit of restoration. I put the tall rear tyres on. I did have to, they had no motors. Well, they had no rear axles. They only had front axles. But I didn't replace the mirrors. They both have a mirror broken and missing. Mainly because I can't get this colour. That looks like a off-white. So I've never seen that colour before. And I haven't been able to get it again. Oh, an interesting point about these cars is they have the shock absorber is upside down. So here, that's the actual bottom of the shock absorber, should be down there. And this is a quirk of Australian cars, especially these 1960 ones. So they must have sorted it out later on with the G3 cars from 1961, but it is something you will notice on these earlier cars. So we'll have a look at the inside of these. So, as often happens with these cars, the head has obviously come loose. So, in this case, the previous owner has put a screw there. So, I've never seen that before. Usually they're glued, quite shockingly. But, and a point, as mentioned in the previous video, but I will keep pressing this point, because it's a vital identification tool for when purchasing these cars on eBay. Australian cars and Australia and New Zealand cars have 6 locating points. So the body locating points, there's 6 of them. And only Australian cars and cars marked made in Australia and NZ have the 6 points there, body locating points. So these cars, I had to replace the motors. And they're exactly the same as in English cars. I have fitted the Australian style of terminal there though. Now, in regards to stripping the paint on these early cars, it's really difficult. Don't believe that you can do it safely. I used a Dettol mix to get white paint off. This was poorly painted with like just a dusting of white paint. I used a Dettol mix and that still softened the plastic surface and has actually damaged it. So you can sort of tell with the way it looks. There is a big crack there that I glued up. So these weren't good enough to try and restore, and they kind of look pretty good. I'm quite pleased with the look of the paint that is on there. I don't think I could have done much better job myself. So just a bit of a sympathetic restoration. With this one, I did replace the exhaust and the oil cooler. So, because they had the white paint. It was a really poorly done job. If it had been painted properly white, I probably would have left it, but it was just a dusting of white. So these are just custom painted cars. I haven't kept much in the way of custom painted stuff in the past, but these look pretty good, so I'm quite happy to have them in my collection. And they're extremely rare cars. I've only seen 3 of these, and I own all 3 that I've seen. I've seen about 7 of these. So the British Racing Green is the more common colour to find. It was ages before I got my first red one. I had a green one for quite some time. So the first 2 cars are in my Cyclops branded Scalextric set, and you saw the other pair in the first video. So if you're interested in the history of Scalextric in Australia, these cars are definitely worth keeping an eye out for on eBay.